So can we get started? Anthony, you're muted in case you're saying something.
Welcome everyone to the 12th edition of Tunipash Sustainable Energy Talk. I'm excited that we all could make our time to join. For this week, for this particular edition, we shall be discussing sustainable building designs in Africa. And we have quite our experts are in the house who will take us through what we need to know about this all-important sector, because research has shown that the emissions from homes and houses constitute a significant amount of emissions, the total energy emissions and greenhouse gases emissions. And that is basically through energy consumptions, which happens in the homes that we live. So that is what has informed this event of today, the topic that we choose, and the panelists also, then the speakers that we've introduced, that we've brought in. And we thank them so much for taking our time to be with us today. We know how busy a time like this can be for a lot of them. So a little bit about Tunipash Energy. We are a clean energy company based in Nigeria here, carry out services which include energy planning, consultancy. We also provide solar energy services from design stage, complete construction and installation, and also maintenance. And we are also in the clean cooking space, where we research on new methods to reduce the emissions associated with cooking. As they say, cooking shouldn't kill. So that's a bit about our company, Tunipash Energy. We've organized the Tunipash Sustainable Energy Talk now for, we've had 11 editions so far. So this is the 12th one. And I'm happy to say that we are a year into this. And we thank, more importantly, the speakers that have about more than 50 of them, and also the more than 1,700 audience and participants that have attended this. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible. So that is why I had to take that time to thank you. And we wish us more collaborations in future as we go on. So as we go ahead, this event is currently being live streamed on YouTube. So in case you have connection challenges, you can search for Tunipash Energy on YouTube. It will be streamed live there. And also, it's also being recorded as a noun. Yes, so that is just what I wanted to put out there. We welcome everyone that has taken our time to join us, and we look forward to an interesting and enlightening session as always. So, okay, these are the breakdown of today, the events that is going to happen today. But right now, I'm going to introduce the moderator of today, who is Architect Basi Etu. He's an associate member with the Nigerian Institute of Architects and is provisionally registered with the Architects Registration Council of Nigeria, ACON. He's also the lead architect at the Clove Studio Limited, a design and build company that offers all value-added architectural and engineering services ranging from conceptual design to construction and project management. He has over 12 years experience in the construction industry and has overseen many projects from the design phase to completion, to complete construction and eventual handover. At the Clove Studio Limited, which he himself is going to give us more insight about it. It's said to see the world from a different point of view, but I'll allow him to go into details on the activities as it involves them. So, Mr. Bassi, Architect Bassi, if you're in the call, please, could you unmute and speak? Okay, I think, yes. Okay, he seems to be having connection challenges. So we will go straight to our first presenter, who is right now on the call, who is Dr. MKO Balogun. He's the founder of the African Facilities Management Institute and the GMD/CEO of Global Properties and Facilities. He was a co-founder of Dome FM Limited, which later merged with WSP FMC Nigeria in 2012, for which he became the MD. MKO has grown his company from a local Nigerian company to a Pan-African group, registered and operating in 10 African countries. He had his Bachelor in Engineering in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Technology, Owerri. He has an MBA from Lagos Business School of Pan-Atlantic University and a PhD in Management from Commonwealth University, Belize. His area of focus in recent time is sustainable urban design and development and facility management. He was recently elected to the prestigious fellowship cadre of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. He's also a professional member of the Green Building Council of Nigeria and the national chairman, Nigerian Institute of Facility Engineering and Management. I must also add here that Dr. Balogun has been at the forefront of enhancing sustainability in building designs, especially in Nigeria and in other parts of Africa, where he advocates for consistent facility management. To, instead of building new ones, we could manage the ones that we have better. And he has featured in a lot of interviews and radio and print media programs where he advocates this. So we welcome you, and if you're in the call, you can unmute and please speak, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anthony, and good morning, everybody. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen so that I can go ahead with the presentation. First, I'd like to make an amendment to the profile. I'm nobody chairman of the Facility Engineering Division of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. My tenure expired 2 months ago. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk. I'm going to take us through 3 key areas for me as important on this journey on sustainable designs and development. First is to provide a general introduction on how buildings impact the environment and the need for us to pay attention to sustainability in our profession. Second is to look at the linkage between sustainable buildings and sustainable cities, because buildings don't exist on their own, they exist in cities. So there's need for us to have that connection. The third is to show you some of the key things that has been done by the industry, especially the major players in the real estate sector globally on the area of sustainable buildings, and share some thoughts about the advantage and the value that we get by focusing on sustainability. That's the trajectory of my. And also, I've requested to step out shortly after my presentation. I hope that we'll have an eventful and fruitful deliberations on the call. Thank you. Yeah, so buildings today contribute more than Buildings account for around 35% of resources, 40% of energy, consumes 12% of the world's drinkable water, and generates 40%, almost 40% of global carbon emissions. So it's very important for us to focus on building, and I'll show you a description of data from the US on how buildings impact the environment. We don't have that for Africa yet. I'm sure as soon as we have that, we'll also share. So it's very important for us to pay attention for a building that is, has a sector that has major impact. We have 39% of our global carbon emissions, far higher than any other individual sector in the world. Operational carbon, which is from heating, lighting, and cooling, existing buildings is responsible for 28% of our emissions. Embodied carbon, I'm sure some of our panelists are going to talk about the embodied carbon of materials of buildings. And 11% of global emissions. So this is very important. The need for us to pay attention to building and the real estate sector. This is the data from the US provided by US GPC. Energy use is 36%, total electricity consumption is 65%. Total water use is 12%, CO2 emissions 30%, total raw material use is 30%, total waste output is 30%. So you can see the impact of buildings in the US. This is US. Like I said, we don't have data for Nigeria and Africa. I'm sure maybe any of our panelists may have that information they will share with us, but this shows the needs and the reason why this topic we're having today, and thanks to the organizers of this session for us to talk on it. We cannot talk about sustainable buildings without the cities, because they exist in cities. All the things that we're talking about that comes into building design and building development and management come from cities. The level of awareness, level of materials, and level of development in a city helps even organizations that are interested in building sustainable buildings may find it difficult if the building cities where they operate does not have that opportunity. So the design is a method of wisely use resources to create high quality, healthier, and more energy efficient homes and commercial buildings. A building is more than the sum of its parts. Its process and impacts matter too. So main objectives of sustainable buildings are to reduce, completely avoid depletion of critical resources like energy, water, land, and raw materials, prevent environmental degradation caused by facilities and infrastructure throughout their life cycle, and create built environments that are livable, comfortable, safe, and productive. So this is very important. And everything that we're talking about here emanates from the environment, emanates from where the buildings are situated. And this is according to the whole building design guide. There are 6 key fundamental principles for building design that needs to be sustainable building design that needs to be focused on. Optimize site potential. Everything that we're doing, you find mostly that some buildings orientation is very critical. You find buildings that are not properly oriented, and their consumption of energy increases because they have to cool the building because the building is oriented towards the sun. Natural forest landscape, you have buildings built in a place that is designed for forests, and they deforest the place and has impact on the environment. The landscape around the building is also important. Reuse of material, smart processes are critical things to put into consideration when thinking about site optimization. Energy use, focus on net zero energy design. So this is important also in design. And I said, some of our panelists are experts in those areas. They will take us through some of the ideas and concepts that we need to focus on. But from day one, from design, we need to start paying attention to ensuring that the building is designed for zero energy use. Protect and conserve water. Water consumption, as we've seen from the data, is 30% of in the US, for instance. Water generated in the US, buildings consume about 30%. So, and from process, from use of the building, so we must find ways to ensure that the building is designed for less water use, and also the waters that are being generated they don't have negative impact on the environment. Building space and material use. Design of buildings are very critical. So linking into site optimization, reduce material, focus on materials, and less hazardous impact on the material. So this is very important for us to pay attention to building design. enhance indoor air quality. IAQ is a major part of building design and development. Buildings are designed for people. So if the building is designed and people are not healthy because they're living in the building, then it's not serve its purpose. And from the definition, comfortable, safe, and productive environment. So it's important that whatever we're putting in the building does not become impediment to the safety and well-being of the users of the building, no matter what we're using the building for. Optimize operational and maintenance practices is very important, and it's important to connect operators and maintenance personnel from the beginning so that they can do advisory. Fast environment is critical. Building design mostly it's a challenge that it's only when the building has been completed that fast managers are involved, and there's little or nothing they can do to make sense of the issues and challenges that the building is going to generate and the impact is going to generate on the environment. So very important to as I mentioned, this need to connect cities and the buildings. I'll just take you through a couple of concepts on sustainable cities. Sustainable cities, also referred to as eco-cities, work towards creating environmentally, economically, and socially resilient surroundings for their citizens without compromising the needs of the future generation to thrive in the same environment. According to Sustainable Cities Index, sustainable city can be evaluated on 3 parameters: profit, people, and planet. Profit factor measures the value of real estate and the ease of starting and running businesses. People, the people index focuses on the living standard of the people, literacy, education, and health. We talked about indoor air quality as part of the consideration. Profit is part of design. If you design buildings that are not going to be able to, today actually in the industry, there are companies who are looking for sustainable buildings to buy or to lease or to invest in. So it's become a major driver of profitability for investment. Planet, our social responsibility to ensure we don't deplete the environment or impact negatively on the environment is also very critical. From transportation, water, sanitation, air pollution, and carbon emission, among other factors, are critical components and elements that drives the sustainable cities, which is, as I said, links the buildings. Cities does not exist without buildings, buildings does not exist without cities. There are a couple of cities in the world today that are focused heavily on sustainability and also enhancing sustainable building design. You have London, Edinburgh, Singapore, Oslo, Hong Kong, Vienna, Zurich, Munich, Frankfurt, and Stockholm. They're all focused on sustainable development, and you find situations where most of the buildings today that are focused on sustainable development are existing in those cities. These are just resource utilization. You see waste generation has been mentioned. Waste generation is growing. Buildings contribute a lot, as you can see from the previous slides. It is believed that we're going to be generating 2.2 billion tons in 2025 globally. Carbon emission is driving towards 70%. Buildings contribute more than 39% of that globally. So, what are the industry players, thinking or saying about impact of buildings on the environment, and what actions are they taking? Now is this very important, and this also becomes positive for those of us in the industry, because we have people in our space who are interested, and not just at the industry level, but also at the global level. It's already a group being set up by the World Economic Forum to drive the framework of sustainability in the real estate sector. The idea is to ensure that people who are in the industry, who are investing or managing or operating buildings, start focusing on how to achieve net zero, reduce impact on the building. Recently, 7 companies signed an agreement declaration actually to reduce emission by 50% by 2030. Those companies include our company, GPFI, as one of the companies who are driving this globally. Part of the drivers for real estate today is sustainability. From this side, you see there are 4 key pillars. The second most important is sustainability. Livability is also very important. Resilience is very important, and they are all connected to sustainability. But real estate industry players are focused on these as ensuring we decarbonize and offset spaces that take a circular approach to delivering environmental friendly and economically viable and social responsible buildings. And basically, it's driven from ESG. Today, companies are focused on economic, social, and governance, and so sustainability has become a component of that. I mentioned employee expectations, societal demand, business goal of the environmental friendly, economic green building. Occupiers will pay more to green buildings than normal buildings. The global need to reduce green emissions are the major drivers of increased focus on sustainability by the real estate sector. Greening existing buildings has also become very important, and most companies today are focused on ensuring that that happens. Every major organization towards rethinking, remodeling their assets. Fortune 50 companies alone occupy 2.6 billion square feet of real estate, and some of it has mostly empty because of the pandemic, but everybody's redesigning. And the purpose is that more buildings will be taken if they are green buildings than if they are just ordinary buildings. There are five topics that the real estate industry is focusing on and advancing. Net zero agenda is critical. Navigating reporting and measurements landscape to ensure that we're not just focused on net zero, but we're reporting progress that we're making at every stage and every year, so that people can see we're making progress. Confronting climate risk, which is very important in design, in development, in management, in operations and maintenance of our buildings. Prioritizing existing buildings, finding ways to remodel existing buildings to make them more sustainable. Focusing on building materials, which is a major component of achieving sustainability. I said some of our panelists are going to expand more on that. These are the reduce embodied carbon, increase energy efficiency, increase renewable energy supply on site, maximize off-site renewable energy procurement, offset remaining carbon. So these are things that are today being driven by the people in the real estate, which is, as I said, is a good news that we're focusing on achieving what to do. So what are the things being done? Understanding your current sustainability adoption level. Where are you today? What have you done? What do you need to do? Develop capacity, understanding the opportunities for greening and transforming your spaces. Working with experts, understanding what can be done, what are the options, what are the opportunities for greening existing buildings and transforming your spaces. Creating a carbon emission target and drive towards achieving it. I've mentioned global companies are focusing on setting targets and driving towards achieving that, looking at various options to do that. Creating business-wide interest and adoption. This is very important because most organizations' awareness, the top management may be focused on sustainability and green building, while members of the organization are not aware of what's going on. So this is part of the drive to do it, company-wide adoption, and same thing, speaking to countrywide, citywide, to ensure that we start driving that adoption and interest in sustainability. Collaborate with others in your building and community for the adoption of these methods. Very important. Working with individuals, working with organizations, working with private interests. We ensure that this is achieved. Promote your sustainable practices in the community. Advocating and showing what you're doing is part of creating awareness. When people know that others are doing it, it helps them to say, yeah, it's possible, and we can also do it. What are the values derivable from green building? Sustainable design, sorry. Resource optimization and ultimate cost reduction in building design and development. This is a major positive from adopting sustainable building design. Healthy and productive building users. We talk about indoor air quality, very important. This ultimately leads to profitable businesses, because when employees and users of building are happy and they are comfortable and healthy, it means that they work better and work efficiently, and business will benefit from it. Reduction in cost of building operations and maintenance, and asset replacement lifespan. This is very critical. As I mentioned, if you have proper, building green and sustainable building concepts, and it's integrated with maintenance and operations of the building, over time you're going to see a huge savings on your operations. And most buildings today, actually, that are green building are delivering, nothing less than 30 to 40% on O&M costs. Social responsibility and impact. This is very important. I mentioned that the people within the environment, within the community see you as a socially responsible organization, and that brings its own positive impact to the organization and to the community. Resource optimization and ultimate cost reduction in building design and development. When you design for sustainability, you use less materials, use more efficient materials. It definitely reduces use of materials and improve design. Regulatory compliance and alignment. Today, across the world, we're not yet there in Nigeria. There are requirements for buildings, and Lagos currently is working on a good building certification for buildings, minimum level, meaning that the requirement becomes a regulatory requirement for a building to comply with certain level of sustainable requirements. And so this becomes a regulatory requirement and alignment. Community linkage, ensuring that you are connected with your community, understanding and projecting and providing information and resources where possible to the community, and working with the community to ensure that some of the things you're doing or the things that can be done in sustainable design, development, and management are projected. Recognition and pride with beauty certifications like LEED, EDGE, and others. Today, as I said, apart from the fact that buildings get more value because they are green building, they are certified green building, not just green, they are certified green building that are actually demand for more sustainable buildings. Even in Nigeria today, we have a couple of clients whose the interest of their client is their building must be, green building certified. Building resilience and adaptability is a very critical component. It means that your building life is expanded. Ability to adapt, make changes, to adapt and make changes to your building is also enhanced, because you continue to recreate your building and don't need to think about redevelopment. Increased life cycle of the building and total cost of ownership optimization. These are important things that happen as the buildings are well built and sustainable. Sustainable building design cannot exist alone without a focus on the cities where they are developed, as well as taking into consideration development, use, operations, and maintenance of the building. Our responsibilities as professionals is to be in forefront of promoting sustainable buildings and cities. The advantages and values are enormous. We need to promote more and get more organizations and cities to join. Thanks to the organizers for this event. This is part of the steps we need to take. Join us as GBCN to do more. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Balogun, for that insightful presentation. We invite everybody to, if you have a question for him, quickly, kindly raise your hand, or you can drop the question on the chat box, where I will pick it up from there and ask him. But if you have a question, kindly unmute and ask the question. But while we are waiting for others to signify their intentions of or ask their question, the question I have from your presentation, you talked of like the data you gave was more like the data for North Africa. It was for US. So I'm asking now, what are the challenges that Africa is facing as it pertains data gathering, because it's really critical. You can't plan for people who you don't know what they need. So what is like in the building sector now, which you are a major player in, how do we go about getting the data, building a database of maybe the kinds of building that are being built in Nigeria, in Africa, and the materials that are being used in building it?
Thank you, Anthony. There has been a lot of progress with data. We're not there yet. Like I showed you, there has been huge progress from both within the industry and outside the industry, because it's important, as you stated. We cannot make changes to the industry, to the way we operate in the industry, if we don't have data. So I can assure you by this time next year, when we're having this kind of conversation, we'll be providing you, if not Pan-African data, at least Nigerian data. But efforts currently on to ensure we collate as much data as possible, both from government agencies and private sector, to be able to see how we can use it to improve. Because if we don't have data, we cannot start working forward to achieve the results. There's a question on the platform. Green buildings construction comes with cost. Is that really applicable in least developed countries for poor family? Yeah, is a general belief that the costs of developing green building is, and I don't think it's factual in the real sense of it. Data that are available today from IFC and other development agencies does not support that notion. But the way buildings are looked at is not just the cost of development, and that's why my conversation does not stop only on the design and development, also the life cycle of the building. So when you develop a building, either it's residential development or private commercial or government buildings, it's to look at the life of the building. The average life of a building is 40 years. So if you look at the total costs of ownership of the asset, you find out that you are much better if you focus on green building from day one. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that insight that you've shared. I have seen a question on the group. Can we have access to the slides?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so along with the, at the end of the event, we usually send the report out. So along with the report, we'll also share with you the presentation slide, as Doctor has graciously approved that we do that. So is there any other question?
The question on cement production.
Okay,
yes. And the questioner is right. Cement production is huge, but a lot of alternative building construction models currently, even road construction. So yes, there are conversations globally. Maybe they are not yet applicable in Nigeria, but you find major buildings today. You find some that are constructed with steel, even though steel has its own metal material, impact. But all the options have been considered, and organizations in the green building sector are focusing on providing, more details, more awareness on the alternative building materials for construction. As I said, we're happy to have very distinguished panelists. Some of them will elucidate on some of those commentaries on material utilization for building design.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. MKO Balogun. It's been a great session, and we thank you. I know we still have more questions for him, so we can drop the questions on the chat box so that we can move to the next presenter, who is Dr. Sunday Ebike. Engineer Dr. Sunday Ebike is a civil engineer who has been in the space and practice for more than 15 years. He's a cost engineer and also a certified project manager. He's a certified energy manager, a certified green building professional. He's an expert auditor, that is energy auditing, building energy audits, and also in the faculty. And he's also a certified German sustainable building professional. He is popularly known as the green building doctor. I think there is nobody that will not accept this title or will not allude to this title, because your sterling qualifications, I'm sure, speaks to this title as a green building doctor. So Dr. Ebike, if you are in the call, please kindly unmute and hello, Dr. Ebike.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, maybe you can give me permission to share my screen.
Okay, you are the co-host, so you should be able to share. Let me confirm. Okay, I'm making you a co-host now so that I can share. Sorry.
I think your screen is still on. Yeah.
Yes.
Exit, just share.
Okay. Try sharing now, please.
Okay. So because of network, I think I'll just pause my video not to disturb the presentation. So can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, quickly, I will be speaking very briefly on sustainable building design in Africa today. And thank you very much to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to share my view regarding this sustainable buildings in Africa. It is a very good, welcome development. But I don't think I really still have more to say because my senior colleague, MK Obalogo, has really spoken a lot regarding sustainable and green building. So he is a senior colleague when the senior is speaking. So the junior one will watch and keep quiet. But I will just show a very brief overview regarding sustainable buildings. So the concept of sustainable building is that when we use the word sustainable building, green building, energy efficient building, smart building, people don't really know what it means. Some are saying when you approach them, come and build green. Some will be asking, is it just a building where you paint it with green color, or a building like this where you have green flowers, vegetation in everywhere? So green building or sustainable building is really far from that. So anytime you hear the word sustainable building, it means also green. In all this building, the definitions are just relative that you don't really know how you can quantify them numerically. But the International Finance Corporation, IFC, a member of World Bank, now came out with a quantitative definition of green building, that when you ask a layman, the layman will be able to define a green building for you. That when you have to be able to give you less 20% in energy use, 20% in water use, and 20% in a body energy in material. What that one means is that somebody living in green building or in a sustainable building will be able to save less 20% in water bill, in energy bill, 20% in water bill, and 20% in a body energy in the material. When we mean a body energy, that is the energy we use. Now, why is the concept of green building? Why is it relevant? Why is it out there? If we look at the 17 SDG goals by the UN, almost about 9 of them are supported by green building. If we look at goal number 1, which is good health and well-being, so sustainable building or green building can promote good health and well-being. A research has shown that people living in sustainable building live a healthier life than those living in the conventional building. Green building also support goal number 8, which is decent workplace and economic growth. That when you are heading, your productivity will also increase. That's SDG Goal 8. If we look at SDG Goal 11, sustainable city, that green building also promotes sustainable city and community. That is why in Germany, they have what they call urban city, the green urban city, that you don't only certify green building, you can also certify a community or a big estate. Let's say banana estate or an urban city, you can also certify them as a sustainable building. Most importantly, when we look at Goal 13, which is climate action, green building has helped to reduce the effect of greenhouse gas emission, which is causing a lot of problem in Africa. We'll talk more about that later. Also, when we look at Goal 17, which is global partnership. That is what sustainable building is currently doing. There is a lot of green building certification bodies that are creating a lot of partnership worldwide. And IFC is driving that partnership seriously in Africa. When we look at goal 7, which is affordable and renewable energy, you can see that a green building, for a building to even achieve net zero carbon, that building must have used a renewable energy in that building in form of solar. So green building also help to promote innovation and create a resilience to climate change in our environment. When we look at goal 12, green offices also have a circular principle, which Dr. Balogo has spoken about, circular economy, whereby nothing is lost. Everything that comes in, we recycle them, and we are creating a kind of circularity in our economy. When we talk about goal 15, which is life on land, which is the most important thing, that we must be alive to live in a sustainable environment. That sustainable environment creates an environment where people live longer than those who are living in a polluted conventional building. So sustainable building is able to support almost about 9 agendas out of the 17 UN SDG goals. Then what are the benefits or the methodology that we can use to enhance green building design? That a green building design, as I've said earlier, must be energy efficient, must be able to generate and distribute a kind of resources efficiency in that building. Most importantly, indoor air environmental improvement is one of the key metrics in the German Sustainable Building Council agenda, that if your building meets all requirements and the building fails to meet up with the indoor environmental requirement, that building will not be able to pass. So it's one of the more important metrics in sustainable building design. So green building has also helped to reduce greenhouse gas emission. And I will speak more about that later. And green building also helps to optimize and maximize material resources. That is, in a building where you use a material with a high body energy, that building will not be able to meet green building design. So the design efficiency of a sustainable building make it even less cheaper than a conventional building. There was a question raised in from the first presentation. It's not really correct that a green building is more expensive than a conventional building. If you are able to design your building during design stage, apply passive design methodology, that building will be able to meet up with green building standard, and that building will also be cheaper than the conventional building. So the green building must be able to manage waste in that building. What is coming out from your wastewater, your solid waste management, how you handle them. So all these things are what a sustainable building design really encompasses. For example, in a sustainable building, the energy reduction can be as high as 24 to about 50%. There are some of the buildings that we have certified in Nigeria. Some of them we are able to meet reduce energy consumption in the building up to about 40%. What that one means is that somebody living in that building will be paying 40% less in energy bill compared to a conventional building. So that is why some people are saying that green building is more expensive, because the initial cost might be higher than the conventional building, but the operational cost will quickly accept that incremental cost you incur in trying to build green. Even in CO2 emission, it has been able to reduce about 33 to 39%, also in water use and solid waste management. Now, sustainable building design in Africa. Why Africa? Why are we so particular about Africa? Because that is the title of the presentation, Sustainable Building Design in Africa. Why are we so particular about Africa? One, because of poverty. Poverty can create an environment that is not sustainable. Poverty is rampant in Africa. 2, there is a high population increase. Despite the poverty level, the population is increasing exponentially. And because the population is increasing, there is a high demand for housing. People need somewhere to stay. Increase in population automatically translates to high demand for housing. So when there is a high demand for housing, it means that there is a the rapid growth for urbanization and also construction of buildings. But unfortunately, the building construction industry is one of the main greenhouse gas emission, most importantly, CO2, which is causing a lot of climate change effects. Also, at a global scale, the building construction industry also costs more than 40% in energy consumption. And also, in terms of materials, it is also almost about 30%. And from COP26 held last 2 years ago in Glasgow, and also COP27 held last year in Egypt, the report shows that despite that Africa is contributing less to the global greenhouse gas emission, but the effect of climate change is very prevalent in Africa. That is where we are seeing a lot of flooding, a lot of heat wave, a lot of poor agricultural harvest, and a lot of that. Then, if Africa is now the red light for all these effects of climate change, what can we do in Africa to ensure we are contributing our individual quota to ensure we limit the effect of climate change? That was why when our President Buhari returned from Glasgow 2 years ago, he quickly enacted into law climate bill and tried to put in place a machinery which we can adopt to ensure the effect of climate change is reduced minimally, because we will keep on reporting is what can we do in Africa? Green building has offered a quick recovery measure for Africa to combat this effect of climate change. That if we try to build green in Africa, we will be able to reduce the effect of greenhouse gas emission, and most especially CO2 emission in Africa. The consequence of climate change is causing a lot of effects in Nigeria, which I have mentioned already. And the global warming is getting up to about 1.5 degrees centigrade. And that is the key topic in COP26 and COP27, that what can we do globally to ensure we reduce this global warming below 1.5 degrees centigrade, that by the time we move from 1.5 to up to 2 degrees centigrade, that half of the war we met. So that is the key agenda, and everything, all of us will put our heads together because the effect will be more prevalent in Africa. Just for a quick, if Shanghai in China, the global warming there should rise up to 2 degrees centigrade, this is how the city will look like. It will be badly flooded. This is a result from the sample modeling, that if mistakenly the global warming rises to 4 degrees centigrade, you can see the whole city is gone. So green building or sustainable building has offered a quick green recovery and a resilience method for us to combat the effect of climate change in Africa. What can we not do? We should try to advocate for green architecture. So green architecture is a way of designing our building to meet up with the green building standard. It doesn't mean you must certify the building to meet with the green building standard by maybe international IFC using EDGE or using LEED or using BREM or using DNGB. but you can design your building and the professional can help you to assess it. And they can also verify and certify that, yes, when you construct this building will definitely meet up with green building standard. And I thank the Lagos State government that is taking that bold step. 2 years ago, we trained almost about 30 professionals in the Ministry of Infrastructure and Urban Development in Lagos, that they want to develop what they call green cards. And any real estate developers who is able to showcase that certificate of green card to Lagos State Ministry, that developer is going to receive a kind of incentive and a kind of support in promoting green building in Lagos State. And I think when they start, other states can emulate them. So also, we should advocate for green building design. Not that the building must be certified, but we should ensure the design concept is green. A sustainable design is integrated early into the building design. That is why life cycle assessment is very key in designing for a sustainable building. So these are different types of green building certification which we can advocate for to ensure people, especially in major cities, that they are key into sustainable building design. We have LEED, we have WELL, we have BREM, we have DNGB. These are different certification, green building certification. So, but what do we need to do in Africa? We can't really succeed. We can't really promote the concept of green building if there is no policy. So policy will make it easier for us to adapt green building concepts. Assuming that the federal minister, at the federal level, there is a policy that, or at the state level, there is a policy that every major development, especially major developers, any building they are trying to construct in the urban setting, those buildings must be able to produce a certificate to show that that building is sustainable. That kind of green building policy will help. But we are still very far from there. When we take it to the government level, some of them don't really know what is a green building, and we need a concerted effort to join our hands together to promote this advocacy, and those who have the connection to take it to national level, to state level, and even local levels to see if the policy can be implemented, can be designed and can be implemented. And I thank God that the Nigeria Green Building Council is really taking that step seriously to ensure everything is integrated to promote sustainable building design in Nigeria and in Africa large. As I said earlier, we are green building doctors. Those who are following me on LinkedIn, you see sometimes I wear my white garment that is a medical green building garment. We wear it. We also have a green building stethoscope we use in assessing buildings. Just like as the medical doctor heals human being, we also try to promote green building by ensuring the buildings are safe where everyone can live. We also have the Green Building Council Nigeria, which is also a great body that is promoting sustainable building design in Nigeria and also in other Africa countries. We have in Kenya, we have in Cameroon, we have in all the Africa countries, they are having the individual Green Building Council. But we need to synergize, we need to build partnership, we need to work together to ensure our effort to achieve net zero by 2050 will not be zero at the end of the day. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Sunday. Indeed, you are a green building doctor from what we've heard and from what we've seen from you. Yes, we are seeing some questions which we are going to take towards the end after the last presenter, who is Builder Onabekun. But also we have architect Basi Etu in the call. He was supposed to, or he is the moderator of this session. I had to step in when he was having network challenges, but he's in the call now. So we will go straight to him so that he can continue proceedings from here. Architect Basi, if you are in the call, please unmute and I'll hand over the button to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. Thank you very much, Tony Apaso. And I apologize to everyone for joining in the meeting late. I had some network issues in my region, so that's why I could not join earlier. That was a very, very wonderful, although I did not join in from the beginning of Engineer Dr. Sunday Biki, but that was a very, 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 very wonderful, speech concerning the theme, sustainable building designs in Africa. I actually learned a lot from that, and especially the suggestion of green architecture, the use of green architecture for designs to combat the problem of sustainability in designs in Africa. So without much ado and wasting much time, we'll move on to the next speaker. The questions that have been asked by the members of the audience will be addressed, just like Tony has said, will be addressed at the end of the meeting for each respective speaker. So we'll move on to the next speaker, which is Builder Onabekun Isaac Adekunle.
Sorry, Architect Basi, sorry, Builder Onabekun also. Before you start, can we just take a poll?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm launching the poll now.
Okay. Okay.
Anthony, please take us through how to respond to the poll. Okay,
so if you look at your Zoom button, if you go to where you have more, for those that it has not appeared directly on their the Zoom interface there, you see poll. So what you do is that you click on the poll, it will automatically pop up the poll. So you just respond to them, each and every one of them as it goes. Okay, so we've started seeing response. Yeah. So just click on there. The first question is, where are you joining in from? What's your gender? It's the second one. And what's your age range? You also have the fourth question is, are you currently employed? How did you hear about TSET? There are options there: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, email, website, Eventbrite. Have you attended any edition of TSET before? Yeah, so yes or no. The seventh question is, would you say your building is built with sustainable materials? Okay, we are having a lot of yes, a lot of no there. Then does your community have locally made materials that can be used for building construction? Because we are having a lot of answers coming in saying yes, that they do. Sorry, the speakers, you may not be able, for those of us, the speakers and the panelists, you may not be able to participate. This is just for the audience alone. Okay, yes, we have 20 respondents so far. Yes. Okay, 21. We have 8 more persons to go. Okay, we have just 2 minutes to go. So for those where you are joining in from, a lot of persons said they are joining in from Africa. We have some from Europe, also from North America and Middle East to Asia. We also have majority of the participants today are male. We have 67% who are male and 32%, which I say it's considering it's a good indication that we are do not gender balance, but we are getting there. So the age range, we have a lot of 25 to 35, and also 36 to 50 and 51 to 70, which it's balanced in that way. And yes, a lot of respondents are employed. And a lot of persons got it from the email. Okay, thank you. A lot of persons are saying this is their first time, and we have okay, 55, 57 say this is their first time. No, they are returning participants here. Just 43 said this is their first time. And I'm sure you'll be joining us from now henceforth. And just to mention here, we have the recording of this event on our YouTube channel. So if you just search for Tony Pash Energy on YouTube, it's going to pop up and you'll see the recordings of all the sessions that we've had. So would you say your building is built with sustainable materials? A lot of persons said no. Okay. 64% said no, while 36% said yes. And does your community have locally made materials that can be used for building construction? Yes, 76% said yes, and just 24% said no. So I think that should be it for the poll results. We are going to share this when we are sending out the report of the event. Usually at the end of the event, maybe a week or two after, we'll send the event to everybody. So I think that is all we can take for the poll now. I will allow Architect Bassi, you can take over from now.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony, for that. So we are ready for presentation from Builder Onabekun Adekunle.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you,
Good
sir.
afternoon, we can hear you, yes.
Would you want me to share your screen?
Please do.
Okay. Okay, I'm doing that right now. Please confirm you can see.
Okay. Yes, I can see, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to appreciate the efforts of the organizers and the speakers ahead of me. I will be looking at energy in this regard because many of all these speakers are spoken widely, but I want to narrow down my talk on energy. And the topic is energy as a pivot strategy of sustainability. Next slide, please. What is energy strategy for sustainable development? Sustainable energy development strategy typically involve three major technological changes: energy saving on the demand side, efficiency, improvement in energy production, and replacement of fossil fuel by various sources of renewable energy. What is important of energy sustainability? Sustainable energy such as wind and solar energy create a zero carbon emissions that can harm the atmosphere and contribute to global warming. It offers the need for fossil fuel, which are actively increasing climate change and polluting our health. Next slide, please. What are the components of a sustainable energy strategy? Sustainable energy will require three components, that is access and a reliable supply, affordability and cost effectiveness in a competitive marketplace, and environmentally responsible production, transportation, and consumption of energy. What is the role of energy efficiency in sustainable development? Efficient energy use has some economic and social environmental aspects. Therefore, energy efficiency has an important role for ensuring sustainable development. It is a need for sustainable development of the countries to obtain the energy resources easily and at a reasonable cost in the long term. What are the four main types of sustainable energy? Example of renewable sources include wind power, solar power, and the bioenergy organic matter, born as hydroelectric, including tidal energy. What are the three sustainable forms of energy? Here we have common sources of renewable energy. Solar. Solar energy is the most abundant of all energy resources and can be harnessed in cloudy weather. We have the wind, we have geothermal, we have hydropower, and then we have ocean energy and then bioenergy. These are all common examples of renewable energy. Next slide, please. What are the three primary aims of energy strategy? The president of all above energy strategy has three key elements to support economic growth and job creation, to enhance energy security, and to develop and to deploy low carbon technologies and lay foundation for a clean energy future. What are the three pillars of sustainable energy? Sustainability is often represented diagrammatically. The figure below of this page suggests that there are three pillars of sustainability. That is economic viability, environmental protection, and social equity. Next slide, please. Yes. Can we take a critical look at this diagram? Sustainability embodies all: social equity, economic viability, and environmental protection. You see, these are what make us to be sustainable in all endeavors of business of all businesses in life. Without sustainability, there will be a chaos. Example of without sustainability are the ocean surge, which is an example of what happened in the case of Lokoja, Cameroon River overflowing in Nigeria. And as we all know, we can easily use these natural resources to be of an advantage to us. When we have many dams, we will be able to grow many materials, materials extraction, which are sustainable to our environment. Not like in the case of material that are being imported. Because when you, the good example is that when you import some building material into Nigeria, fine, it's good. It has a very good sustainable idea. But what about the carbon? From Lagos, let's say for example, from Lagos to Kaduna, you imported a cement. We call it a sustainable cement, maybe in London or wherever, what have you. Then you want to transport it from Lagos to Kano. Can you imagine the numbers of carbons that you will burn all the way from Apapa? Because before you clear that material from Apapa, it takes you some days. Even after you are being cleared, it takes you some days before you leave Apapa to Kano. And it is going to be transported by diesel burn transportation. So which means all the values of that material will be expelled. And my colleague here will agree with me that that is what we call the Green Building Initiative. Because in Green Building Initiative, we have almost about 9 strategies. There is management, which is we, the contributors, the stakeholder in the built environment. Then we now have an indoor air quality management. Then we have the energy, which is the third one. The fourth one, we have the materials. Like that, till we have emission and the land use ecology, and the final one, which is innovation. But for those who are not in this sector, they might be looking at it that, oh, what are they really saying? Green Building Initiative is life. That's why when they want to talk about it, you talk about whole life, carbon cycle, and the whatever. Anything that give out growth, that give out improvement is a life in itself. And all over the world, this is generally acceptable, not only in Nigeria. Although in Nigeria here, we have not even annexed 5% of this Green Building Initiative. And at the same time, it protects our standards. When the building collapses, who is responsible? Nobody is responsible in Nigeria. It's always a blame game. But when the green building is fully implemented in Nigeria, we'll have our local rating, then we can now talk, okay, what particular went wrong? Even in the assessment, it will be direct. So, and then the economical value of it will not be lost. How many, if I remember vividly, in those days, years back, Bank of Industry was collapsed in Marina, Lagos. It took the government how many years before they could evacuate the debris? And at the same time, they went to London and America to bring experts to Nigeria to evacuate that. So it is a great challenge on our own side, and our economy is being loose outside Nigerian shore. And if you look at it, virtually 100% of building materials in Nigeria are being imported in the recent time. Look at it, our energy sector. What are we going to talk about it? When there is no energy, there won't be production. Our productivity will be very, very low. And which is the problem that we are having now. Our economy is going down. Until we first of all address the issue of energy, then we can now be talking about affordable housing. If not, we are still playing with our toys. So then environmental protection, we will be saved with so many hazards. Like let's go to the south, the Niger Delta region. Every blessed day you have a gas flaring, and it has a cancerous effect on the skins of human being that lives within the environment. All these areas are mitigated. Social equity. Social equity. Yes, in Nigeria, you hardly see that most of our buildings have access to all and sundry. You will go to so many hotels, you will not see it. It's only designed for a particular set of people, while others are being cut off. So for them to access such building, it becomes difficult. Then do we have social justice for those level of human being? The answer to it is no. Our waste generation, how do we do it? We dump many of them in the lagoon. So when you go to Lagos, you just see the lagoon with fill of debris, waste, human waste on it. Some of the aquatic animals there, they will die. And we have environmental pollution in our hands. So are we doing social justice to ourselves? The answer to it is no. Next slide, please. So what are the energy strategy? An energy strategy is an action plan to manage the supply, procurement, cost, efficiency of energy across all areas of business. So as I have mentioned before, it has even reflected here, the strategy. What are the strategy itself? That means we must have sustainable chain supply. When we talk of sustainable chain supply, it's not a supply that, yes, we put trailers and all that on the road to do a particular task. That will, at the end of the day, will give us more carbons in the air. So we cannot do that. Then our procurement, how is being done? Is it a procurement whereby we want to buy an helicopter and we now have almost about 1 million document to assess, technical specification and all that? Then it becomes a problem even to maintain such. Even to assess some of it, it becomes a challenge. Then the cost, are the costs sustainable? There are two different things between having an relevant project and having a sustainable project that will be cost effective. The efficiency of energy across all areas of businesses. Sustainability deal with business, irrespective of it as life. It's being operated by human being. Definitely we need sustainability in that regard. So, and once you talk about sustainability, it involves human endeavor. And those human endeavor will generate energy. So, and the kind of energy they generated, how it's being managed, are they efficient or what? Now, the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing in 2006 approved National Building Code. And recently, I think about last year, the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing launched Building Energy Efficiency Guide. So it is a manual for the professional in the built environment, wherever you want to build and you want to design or whatever. These are the guides for you to know the minimum requirement of you when you are designing. When you are designing, you need to consider all these green building initiatives. So can you go back, please? So a carefully planned and implemented energy strategy can offer a legitimate return on investment. I will say this without any form of apology. If you look at it in the built environment for the students, do they have what we call business model to their profession? The answer is no. In many universities in Nigeria, they don't have what they call business continuity. And if the business is not continuing, that means we don't have sustainability in it. And that's why you see, wherever you ask them, yeah, okay, come and do a project for me, and then whatever. The project might be very fine. They might have a very good concept. But what about the business sustainability of it? So it is an area for students of learning that, yes, a profession is a profession, but at the same time, how do we do the business on this profession? And that is why the BSI come up with a certification in business continuity. It's a global requirement. If you are lucky to work with a United and all that, all to undertake, so that we understand global trends in accordance with international standard. How business is going to understand that, yes, we must pay for the energy. But how are we being rated for this very particular energy? Is it in tandem with our consumption? And for some of us who work in the energy sector, we know that, yes, this is not how the case is being judged. So without taking much of your time, I think, next slide, please. I think this is, next slide, please. I think I'll welcome any of your questions and comments before I answer you all. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Builder Onabekun. That was wonderful. Thank you for expanding more about energy as a pivot strategy of sustainability. Thank you for letting us know that we need to switch to renewable energy sources like solar, wind, bioenergy, hydropower, as well as nuclear power, which are all very environmentally friendly. And also that we need to reduce the amount of waste we generate during construction, because these wastes result to pollution and environmental degradation. For those of us who don't know, Builder Onabekun Adekunle is a very experienced in the energy and building industry with over 20 years experience in the building and built environments. He is a chartered builder by CIOB, which is the highest career in the building environment. And like I said before, he has over 20 years experience in the building and built environments on management, administration, construction, as well as project management. He is also the managing partner of Solar Ventures and a member of several professional bodies within the built environment. And he has presented so many papers on various topics bordering on sustainable building construction. As you can see, that's why he was able to expand a lot on energy as regards a strategy of sustainability in the built environment. Thank you very much again, Dr. Onabekun Adekunle. Members of the audience, I'm sure we have a lot of questions from the three speakers that have made their presentation. So I think it's time for us to take those questions now. So you can do that in the chat session and we'll see them and we'll be able to address them to each of the respective presenters. Thank you.
So there's a question here from okay, I think it was a comment. Thanking Dr. Ebike for his excellent presentation. That was from Olukayode. And okay, Okay, someone asked also if we can get slides of the webinar today. Yes, Dr. One of the presenters has accepted that we share. I'm still going to ask the remaining ones, as soon as they accept, we'll share this when we are sharing the response of the report of the event. I don't know if the panelists will also want to weigh in on the question that was asked earlier concerning cement production. What is the recent research on alternative construction material? Which is interesting because we have also a member of the audience who has a solution to this and which will be calling in to speak as soon as possible. So after we hear from our panelists, then we can we can hear from Mayowa Onyosun. Look, Architect Basia, are you still on the call?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So somebody was
okay.
Okay. Someone was asked.
Go ahead.
If there is any research to replace cement as a building material.
Okay. Can I speak on that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Just like I said, I'm so happy that the whole theme for this this session is sustainable building designs in Africa. I'm particularly pleased that we are talking about our continent, Africa, because that is where we all reside. And the effects of unsustainable buildings are felt by all of us here, because as we all know, buildings contribute to 40% of carbon emissions, thereby driving climatic change to a very high extent. So there are several local materials. We have to work with the local materials we have in Africa. The problem we have in Africa is that most times we tend to want to use conventional building methods. Meanwhile, we have a lot of readily available materials we could use in Africa, even in Nigeria specifically. There is a product called compressed stabilized earth blocks, CSEB for short. CSEB is a block that is readily gotten from earth, not necessarily topsoil. You take away the topsoil and then the layer or the strata below the topsoil that consists of sand, silt, and clay can be used to generate blocks. These CSCB blocks can be, the first attempt of these blocks were not even used in Africa, funny enough. They were used in France in the early 19th century. And to make them better, to make them to be used for high-rise buildings as well, you can stabilize them with either cement or lime. Now, using cement is to stabilize the CSEB is in a very, very minimal way. The most of the components of CSEB is mostly earth, which is readily available. The compression method for the earth is also can also be manual or mechanical. The mechanical does not necessarily use fuel to power the engines. It's just a mechanical press that compresses the earth together to form the block. So I think if we if we explore these methods of construction, it will be very, very valuable to us, especially in Africa, because you are using cement at a very minimal rate just to stabilize the earth. Because as a component, earth as a component has various elements. It has sand, it has gravel, it's made up of silt, it's made up of clay. So in an instance where you take out your topsoil and you find a soil that has more sandy properties than clay, you use cement as a stabilizer to get your blocks. For a one that has more clay properties than sand, you use lime as a stabilizer. These are all readily available and they are extremely cheap. So I think that when we start exploring these construction methods in Africa, it will help us because earth is a very biodegradable material. Imagine using it for construction and maybe eventually in a couple of years, you have to demolish and do something else. It is readily biodegradable. It is going back to Mother Earth and you can still use it. This is recyclable. And based on the stabilization, it is extremely durable and can withstand weather elements. It also helps to limit the amount of deforestation in the environment because you don't need wood to create CSCB. You don't need wood at all. So it is thereby, you thereby preserve the environment and you preserve plants, which in turn give out oxygen that makes us have a very, very healthy environment. And it is very cost efficient and a simple and easy to learn technology that is very transferable from generation to generation. And since it is a very local and readily available material, it can help in job creation as well, providing employment opportunities for a lot of people. So I believe that aside cement, even if we still use cement as a stabilizer in a minimal quantity, we should explore local materials. We should explore the use of local materials. Earth is readily available in Africa. So if we explore this, it will save us a great extent and reduce the amount of energy that is released to the environment during construction processes, reduce the amount of machineries that are used, and also help us live a better life generally in Africa.
Hello, can I say something? Can I add to that?
Okay.
Yeah, I think Lafarge Holcomb in Ewekoro precisely discovered one of the most sustainable cement material in the world recently. I think it's not even up to 2 months ago. So they are still working on it. At the level of Green Building Council of Nigeria, as one of the director, we are trying to see how we can work with them and see how viable the materials are. Then we can be able to promote it with them for Nigerians. And aside from that, Nigeria is a very funny country in the sense that there are a lot of development that are happening, but we don't have the data. We don't. Honestly speaking, there are a lot of building material that are sustainable that has been discovered. Some of my colleagues here who are academicians can bear me witness with what I'm saying. Many of these are just being researched and kept in the archives of the university. And because there is a gap between the private sector, I mean the private, the field, that's the experienced sector, and the academics. There are about 1,000 miles that still gap, that has a gap. And until that gap is closed, that is when we discover that, yes, this also particular thing was discovered in Unilag. Let us work. Let us do some research in that regard. But if not, we are still speaking theory. You understand, if I may use that word? Because periwinkles and some other material like sand has been used to make reinforcement. They brought it here, the Turkish government brought it here in Abuja for us to see. It's a very, very brilliant one. It's like the same our mild and yield steel. in Nigeria, and it is made of glass, and it is 10 times stronger than the iron steel. You understand? And when they brought it for a business process, but the academic area, they don't have the information. Even the experience area, maybe some of us who are opportune to see that, but it exists in the soil of Nigeria. We don't have a data center whereby we can do ambiguate it, use the data for whatever we want to do. So there are a whole lot. There are a whole lot.
That is completely true. You have made a very, very important point. We have to close the breach, close the gap between academics, research, and the professionals in the field. There have to be a relationship between the both parties to correlate what has been discovered down to the field. You are completely right. And I've also even seen a construction method where bamboos were used as reinforcements. I think I've seen that recently in somewhere in not Africa, I think maybe Europe. Bamboos were completely used as reinforcement. Those are all sustainable materials that we could also input into our buildings to have a biodegradable and renewable construction method. So thank you very much for that addition. Thank you very much. We still await questions from members of the audience if there are any, or if not, we would like to hear from a member of the audience who wants to talk about the use of materials from plastic waste. Mayowa and Yosun, please. Thank you.
Oh yes, good afternoon, everybody, and I must really say the session has so far been very wonderful. I'm very sure what I'm going to say now will not surprise most of our speakers. I'm sure it's something they must have come across before. But while it seems to interest me, that I would kind of explore and appreciate the plastic waste sector particularly, is because right about today, I think plastic waste has even constituted enough menace to Nigerians' pollution already. And I feel like plastic waste is highly available in numbers. You will almost, you won't go out almost every day and not come across them in numbers in our drainages, on the beaches. Almost, it's readily available almost everywhere. And the upcycling processes to which they have been appreciated for, you could see that they are mostly those that returns this same plastic back into the environment. Take, for instance, sometimes they make them up back into maybe waste bins, buckets for use, and slippers and all of that, and bring it back into the society. But there's this solution I came across. It's from the plastic flamingo in the Philippines. So what do they do? What they do is that they make use of plastic wastes, all these single-use sachets and snack wrappers, bottles. So what they do is they shred it, and when they shred it, they mold it into plank-like materials. So these plank-like materials that they convert this plastic waste to, they make them seem like a normal plank that are in different units, just the normal centimeter units, they measure planks at the sawmill and all. So, and they are so much durable enough that they have been employed to use for, you can use them for park chairs. Most of the chairs we have in our park, instead of using the concrete sometimes that I've seen in Lagos, You know, they are appreciated in that area to be used for chairs. They are used for fencing, house fencing. You can understand that when you don't necessarily have to use the cement that we all believe constitutes so much to carbon emission, you know, when you use this over that, I feel like it's saving us that issue of carbon emission and greenhouse emission. And the good thing is that this same material, the durability has been so confirmed. And so I was now thinking that if we then have this plastic wastes readily available here in Nigeria, almost in every household today, you generate, in fact, in numbers. So I feel like, could we not have, you know, a kind of an innovation in that wise, where it could be appreciated to be brought into the construction sector? And probably if this is being put into use, you know, that we can then move out all the plastic we have in our oceans, in our drainages, and put them into a wonderful use. You know, I've seen the C40 cities, especially most of these Chinese cities, they are starting to employ the use of plastics, especially for emergency relief structures. Maybe in places now where they just had natural disaster, they really quickly want to set up something. These are some of the innovations they are putting in place to quickly remedy emergency situations. So I don't know if our speakers have something they can talk to me about in that wise.
Hello, Architect Basia, are you still on the call?
Yes,
Dr.
I am.
Sunday?
I'm here.
Okay.
I listened to the presentation, and I believe that yes, it is actually a very viable solution to sustainability, most especially the reduction of waste, plastic waste. Plastics are highly recyclable. I really will stand on the point that if we can recycle plastics and use them as construction materials, it will really help to reduce waste, especially in the rivers and oceans. Just like you said, there are a lot of waste that are being deposited into there that makes aquatic life and the environment as a whole unbearable. So it will particularly help. I'm not really, when it comes to the conversion process, I'm not really, I don't really know much about that, but for the fact that it will reduce the environmental degradation by reducing the waste in the environment and the ocean, I think it's a plus for sustainability. If anybody has anything to say as regards the presentation on plastics recycling, okay, can go ahead and listen to that now.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
Dr. Sunday, we can hear you.
Okay. Let me quickly just speak a little regarding the plastic waste. And the plastic waste, especially even in Nigeria, there's a lot of conversion going on regarding plastic waste management. And even in Africa, I think there was a program going on 3 days ago that I think it's plastic conference or so. So a lot of Africa's entrepreneurs are there showcasing different products they are producing from plastic waste. Most importantly, there is one lady in Osun State, I think in Osun State or so. She has a company called Planet 3 Arrow. So that lady has been very wonderful. She has been converting plastic with even some nylon cellophane selfie sachet into making different products like school bag, like a notepad, the back cover of the notepad, even some shoe, even some clothes. She will wear the clothes and go to different conference. I think she had won a lot of awards from that. I am also seeing one yesterday that was also showcasing her product. She's also a lady. So she's turning those plastic bottles into manufacturing ties. And those ties are being used for concrete, that is compound ties, even roads. They are doing this in form of these road ties and everything. And it look very, very wonderful. So a lot of developments are really going on in Africa regarding that. Just that there is no support from there from the government. So when you are doing things like that in the Western world, you will see different government organizations in their weight and promote those people. The lady in Osun, I think she has won a lot of awards from our vice president and other, but she needs to be encouraged seriously to do more. And I'm sure she can also turn those plastic containers into manufacturing or those a lot of beauty materials. So quickly regarding some of the building materials as well, I think I was in Canada last year. I visited some of my friends, especially in Calgary. Most of the buildings they are constructed there, especially new buildings, are made of wood. I don't know how when you enter, the wall is wood, the floor is wood, even the staircase, they are all wood. So that is a high level of sustainable building materials that they are being integrated into their real estate sectors. So, but our mind in Africa here, so it's really, really different from those ones. So when you are trying to build a house here using wood, you will see how people will look at you as, see what this guy is doing and everything. So perception is one of the most important things that we should try to look at when promoting all this type of sustainable building in Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Sunday Biki, for that addition. I also want to add that the region, the climate in a particular region will play a great role to determine the type of building materials you use in that region. For instance, just like you mentioned, the wood, to do a complete wooden construction in Nigeria, considering the type of climate we have, or maybe Africa, which is a warm, humid region, which most times may get rainfall, we need a very high level of treatment for those woods to be able to withstand weather. You know, at the end of the day, it may be expensive to build with wood in this type of in this region, particularly Nigeria, for instance. So I think that the materials used for construction or during design, when planning a design, depends on the overall climate of a particular region. Sometimes it may work out in a particular climate and be affordable and cheap, but you take it to another climate using the same material, it tends to be more expensive. So I think it varies from region to region. It varies from region to region. That is my own addition to that. I also would like to throw a little bit on light on insulation. I don't know if we have talked about insulation since I was not here from the beginning. I don't know if any speaker mentioned that, but there are a lot of sustainable insulative materials we can use for buildings as well that will help in the overall sustainability of a building. And these materials are readily available. We have materials like straw, we have stone mineral, which is clearly made from recycled stone dust. 90% of it is a recyclable content, and it can withstand a lot of high temperature. So thermally, for thermal insulation, it is very good, and it is also moisture resistant. So I believe that we should support ourselves here in Africa. There are a lot of researches, like you have said, have been ongoing Sometimes people even go and hire foreign expatriates to come and do development here in Africa, which I think we need to change. We need to change. We need to give ourselves a chance. There are a lot of intelligent people who have gone into a lot of research here in Nigeria and Africa as a whole that we need to give a chance to. We don't necessarily need to use foreign expatriates all the time. We need to help ourselves here at home, develop ourselves and build ourselves for a better African continent. Thank you.
All right.
If we do not have any further questions, I would like to hand over to Anthony Apaso to take over from here.
Okay, so thank you so much to our audience and also the experts, presenters and speakers who have joined us for this event. Indeed, it has been very insightful. All of us have learned something, and I think that is the aim of this event, to share knowledge and make sure that everybody gets, we learn a thing or two and also advocate more, because you can't solve a problem that you don't know about. When once you see that this is a problem, you can now be better placed to offer your input as a form of solution to that challenge. So, and interestingly, our speakers, like Dr. Builder or Onabekun mentioned, there is a lot of research that has gone into the space, but these things nobody knows about them. So one of the ways that Tony Pash Energy is seeking to bridge this gap is to come in partnership with the Energy Access and Renewable Energy Technology Program of the University of Port Harcourt. We are organizing Africa International Conference on Clean Energy and Energy Storage. Now, we are looking for a way, we are coming up now as a bridge for the industry and also the academia, to see how what is being done in school can be replicated in the industry through industry support. We know that most of these researches are really they're expensive, because you have to research and research and research before you can get a product from it. So like he has said, and like we have all noticed, this research are being domiciled in the shelves and the racks of the university after the project has been done and the grades gotten. The most important thing, I know the grades are important, but also the information, the research itself, the outcome of the research is as important as the research itself. So we are organizing this conference to bring together experts in the industry and also in the academia to discuss on, to present papers. When the academia is presenting, the industry can know, okay, if I have this challenge, this is who I should talk to, who is researching on that area. And this is how most of the developed economies grow. There are partnerships between industry and research organizations and the academia. If I have a problem in the industry, I present it to the academia and the research institutions to research on, and I fund it. So that is what I think we should encourage in Africa in through collaborative learning and sharing of knowledge. So the conference is coming up on the 9th and 10th of November. We are open to sponsorship and support also in any way, paper presentation, members of the scientific committee, and those are the theme of the conference, the themes of the conference: energy storage, clean cooking, clean mobility, battery, materials and manufacturing in Africa, energy transition economics, mini grids, hydrogen development, energy transition, and energy finance. I tell people that the renewable energy industry, and in fact, the energy industry and every other industry in Africa, it's still a virgin land. We need as much as many persons to participate and also offer their unique products and services to enhance the different sectors. So on this note, I want to thank also the panelists for supporting us, for coming together to give us this insight. I've learned a lot from your presentations, especially around the materials, the building materials that can be adopted. Because we see this thing every day, like the plastic, we see the earth, we see building collapse, and you hear a lot of stories. But when we can have everybody working together to a common good, I think we will get there. So these are some of the services that we offer: solar energy system design, solar, wind, and also hydro. We also carry out energy audits to know if you even need the energy, the renewable energy solutions, what do you need and how can you mitigate and reduce your energy use, enhancing energy efficiency in our homes, offices, and building structures that we have. Then also we have clean cooking solutions, which we also offer consultancy on, and also energy planning and decentralized and renewable energy development. So you can reach us on any of our social media handles. For next week, for next month, we shall be discussing on wind energy development in Africa, opportunities, challenges, and prospects. That particular edition will come up on the 20th of April, 2023, the same time to 12 p.m. So we encourage everybody to join in. We have experts. I'll be joining us from different parts of the world and different organizations focus on wind development, because we have these things in Africa. We have the resources already in Africa, and we have to do everything that we can to see how we can tap into them and use it to the betterment of Africa and our communities. Currently, more than 500 million persons in Africa do not have access to electricity, and more than 900 and something million do not have access to clean cooking solutions. So the challenges are wide. That is why at 20 Energy we thought of letting people know through this 20 Sustainable Energy Talk. We want to let people know that this is a problem, so that even in your research, even in your thoughts, you can stumble upon ideas that can improve the industry, that can bring more energy, more electricity. Imagine by 2030, it was the sustainable development goal said by 2030, we should have eradicated lack of access to electricity. But by 2023 that we are now, 7 years to that time, we still have more than 500 million persons without access to electricity. So that's a challenge that we think it's a collaborative solution that is going to solve it. So on this note, I want to thank everyone that has taken out time to join us today, and I invite us to also join us next month as we continue this discussion. As we said, the recording is on the YouTube channel if you need to refer to it. And with the permission of the presenters, I'll also share the slides with you and also the event reports that shall be coming up later. So I want to thank each and every one of us again for taking out time to join us, and I wish us the best of the day. But before we go, can everyone just put on the video so that we can take a screenshot of everybody? Oh, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Thank you, Olukayode. Thank you, Victor Fameso. All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Anini. Okay, I think that is, thank you, Jesse Chinda. Okay, so I wish you the best of the rest of your day, and we are available for any questions, contributions, and suggestions, and also sponsorship to bring this to more people. Somebody told me that those that need this information don't have access to internet or ICT facilities to join this. So we are hoping and planning on getting to the rural areas to also tell them about those too. So thank you again for your time, and I wish you the best of your day. Bye.